A community is stepping up to help the family of a fallen firefighter, a man they say gave so much to his neighbors.
We are live at the state capitol on a very cold and rainy Monday morning where Tony Evers is set to be sworn in as the next governor of Wisconsin later today. I'll have more on what he's expected to address in the message he's expected to address and how Republicans are responding.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Monday, January 7th, and boy, if Monday had a weather forecast, I feel like this would totally be it.
So accurate.
Hard to get going today.
It really is.
It is soggy outside.
Yeah.
Luckily for most of us, it's liquid.
Yeah.
Not any chunky rain or anything like that.
As Pam put it, lumpy.
Lumpy rain, yeah, whatever you want to call it. It's all green on the radar map here across southern Wisconsin. To the north, though, north of Green Bay, that rain is changing over to some snow. Had some calls earlier, though, of some slippery areas in our far northern viewing area. Parts of Juneau and Adams County, Marquette and Green Lake counties may be a little slick this morning, even with that rain falling. Here's a look at current temperatures. We are climbing. We're up to 39 now in Madison. To the south and west, temperatures are already in the mid-40s. 44 in Platteville, 45 in Boscobel and Prairie du Chien. It is going to be a mild day today, but very wet through the morning. Expect the rain to taper off from west to east as we head into the afternoon. Again, high temperatures will be near 50 degrees rather, thanks to that southwesterly wind. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps early this morning. No issues here in Madison, although we are starting to see some of those brake lights show up right around Stoughton Road and the Beltline. Also a little slow on Highway 30 as you approach the Madison area as well. Otherwise, looking elsewhere across southern Wisconsin, no accidents report. But again, keep in mind, roads are at least wet in all locations this morning.
At least.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on that as you're driving in.
Yep.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So our big story of the morning comes from the Capitol. We start with a new governor taking office today. It's inauguration day for Governor-elect Tony Evers and his administration, as well as new state lawmakers.
Yeah, Josh Spreiter is live at the state capitol this morning with a preview of the day ahead. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Other than a little bit of rain, all is quiet out here on the steps of the state capitol, but it is a big day here as Tony Evers gets sworn in as the next governor of the state of Wisconsin. Evers calls himself an eternal optimist and says he does not believe residents need to be concerned about gridlock between a Republican-controlled legislature and a Democratic administration. Tony Evers is calling for civility with his hope of working together. Evers says he'll address the issue of compromise and optimism in his inaugural address today. That's been his push going all the way back to the early morning hours after the election when he was announced as the winner. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, a Republican, did release a statement over the weekend saying he will be there to congratulate Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes as they get sworn in as the next governor and lieutenant governor today. Vos says he understands that both sides want to improve Wisconsin. He just wants to avoid political gridlock moving forward. That inaugural address, Inauguration Day, starts at 11 o'clock this morning. And we'll, of course, have team coverage on News 3 and channel3000.com.
Josh Spreiter reporting live from the Capitol this morning.
Meanwhile, Governor Walker spent his last day in office paying respect to fallen fire captain Chris Truman. Truman's life was honored at a funeral service over the weekend where Lake Mills firefighters spoke about his passion for the fire service and his willingness to help anyone in need. Captain Truman was off duty on New Year's Eve when he was hit by a car while helping a woman on the side of the Beltline. Truman's friend of 5 years, Police Chief Mick Selk, is encouraging people to help others in Captain Truman's honor and says that's what he would have wanted.
I truly believe the best way to honor Captain Truman is by being a good person and helping out those around you. Pay it forward. If there's someone you can help, a neighbor, someone who's having a hard time or whatever, by helping out your friends and people you don't know, you're honoring his memory.
At his funeral, his colleagues talked about his infectious laugh and his love of hunting and fishing.
Meanwhile, the Lake Mills community is helping Captain Truman's family through this difficult time. The Lake Mills Market, its grocery store there, is collecting money from shoppers to give to Truman's fiancée and loved ones. Truman was a familiar face at that grocery store and was well known for his willingness to give back to others. In just a day, the store collected more than $3,000. Employees there plan to keep that fundraiser going at least for a couple more weeks.
A Cottage Grove family is grieving the loss of one of their loved ones as they get ready for the birth of a new loved one. Alan Anucco died in an accident while making a delivery in Texas for his trucking company. This comes as his wife, Everlyn, is expecting her second daughter next month. What was supposed to be a baby shower on Saturday turned to a day of grieving when she heard the news. But now, Everlyn says she'll be celebrating 2 lives.
I named our first daughter. This time round, he was gonna name her. I cannot wait to share the beautiful memories I've had with my husband with her and explain to her the kind of man he was.
As tradition, the family will bury Alan in Kenya, where he was born and raised. You can help them do that by donating to a GoFundMe page in Alan's honor. A link to that is over on channel3000.com.
New this morning, Madison police are looking for the woman who allegedly robbed a gas station at gunpoint last night. This happened just before 11 p.m. at the Stop and Go on Monona Drive, right near Monona Grove High School. Police say a woman armed with a handgun did get away with money and merchandise. Anyone with more information is asked to call Madison police. We will find out later today if any police officers will be charged for shooting and killing a gunman who opened fire at his Middleton office back in September. Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan will release the findings of his investigation today. 2 Dane County Sheriff's deputies and 2 Middleton police officers were involved in a shootout with 43-year-old Anthony Tong back in the fall after he started shooting at coworkers at WTS Paradigm. Tong seriously wounded 3 people before he was shot and killed by authorities. As according to protocol, those officers have been on paid administrative leave since the shooting. We'll try to stream the press conference with the district attorney live for you over on Channel 3000 Facebook page, that is.
There is a reminder this morning to check the privacy settings on your social media after police say a Rock County resident's Facebook account was hacked and used to issue threats against the government and buildings along with officials. The Janesville Police Department investigated those threats and found them to be not credible yesterday. The account had been hacked from somewhere in Iowa. The people responsible posted the profile owner's name, address, and phone number along with those threats. Madison's restaurant community is remembering one of their own after he died over the weekend. Jeff Stanley, founder of Dottie Dumplings Dowry, died Saturday night, according to the restaurant's Facebook page. The restaurant has been known for its burgers since it first opened back in 1969. The Facebook post called Stanley the Hamburger King and said he will always be cherished, loved, and remembered. All right, 6:07 your time now. A new federal law is helping you shop around for low prices at hospitals, but a local organization says they have a more accurate list of what you might actually pay. We'll tell you where to find that coming up.
And it's one of those weeks where you just cross your fingers that no one in the family gets sick, because the kids are going to want to wear shorts and rain boots today and then all of the layers on Wednesday. Bit of a mess out there. Hattie's First Alert forecast is next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning from the patio. It is wet outside this morning and we have a wind, so that rain is sometimes coming down sideways. It's going to be a very wet start to the day today across the entire area. Precipitation estimates from overnight show you that we had about 1/3 of an inch of rain fall in many spots. That's what we've had here so far in the Madison area, but we continue to add to those numbers, slightly higher amounts in far southwestern Wisconsin. Here's a look at that radar map, though. It is solidly green, and some areas around Lafayette County are looking at some heavier rain at this hour, also maybe a little bit heavier in and around Baraboo and the Dells. The rain will continue for the next couple of hours, but gradually come to an end from west to east. Now, we're lucky that temperatures are above the freezing point here in southern Wisconsin, but to the north, there is a changeover line from rain to snow, and that is just around the Green Bay area this morning. So if you do have interest in that part of the state or are traveling in that direction, keep that in mind today. Additional rain is going to add up to about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Now that's on top of what we've already gotten overnight. So many spots today will get about an inch of rain. Here's a look at the winter weather bulletins that are in effect from areas to the north. About the northern third of the state is under a winter weather advisory, with extreme northeastern Wisconsin and parts of the UP under a winter storm warning. There will likely be some snow accumulation there, as well as the potential for a mix. So that's why those winter weather advisories are in effect. Take a look at current temperatures, though. Right around freezing in Rhinelander this morning. It increases to 39 here in Madison. And for southwestern Wisconsin, you're starting in the 40s this morning. So quite a mild start to the day. Keep in mind, though, that temperatures may be in the mid-30s, and that may cause some slippery spots on the roads in our far northern viewing area this morning. Winds are from the south-southeast around 15 miles an hour, sometimes gusting up to around 30 miles an hour. Just had a few of those gusts here in the backyard weather patio. Winds are going to shift to the south-southwest later today, but they'll stay pretty strong, 10 to 20 miles an hour, so it will be breezy through the afternoon. Take a look at our future track forecast model. It's doing a very good job with the rain this morning, and it will still be raining through the morning commute early today, so plan on wet roads as you head to work and school. Now, as we go to the afternoon hours, that's when the rain begins to wind down from west to east across the area. Still going to be pretty mild today with highs near 50 degrees. Now overnight tonight, clouds as well as a chance for a little bit of mix or light snow coming on Tuesday with colder air moving into the region. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Hang on tight. It's quite a roller coaster ride temperature-wise. 50 today. Falling temperatures on Tuesday, and by the time we get to Wednesday, highs will only be in the low 20s. But we'll have to factor in a wind chill as well on Wednesday. It's going to be blustery and very cold. It then looks a little bit more typical of January as we head through the weekend into the start of next week. Now let's get a check on those traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. The wet roads could make things a little slick this morning. Just make sure you give yourself a few minutes extra. So far, the Beltline is moving well, though. Just the usual volume increase heading westbound. Other roads here in Dane County not looking too bad right now. Some brake lights popping up on northbound Verona Road and Stoughton Road near the Beltline. No issues downtown around campus. Look for things to pick up over the next hour or so. And other routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. 6:14 your time now. The next time you stop at your pharmacy, you might be paying more for your prescription in the new year. A group that tracks drug costs says about 60 companies increased the price of almost 300 medications. Pharmacists warn that as costs increase, patients are more likely to ration their medications, which means that that medicine could become ineffective. The price of insulin alone, a life-saving drug for diabetics, has tripled between 2002 and 2013. Since 2008, 3 top manufacturers have raised the price of insulin at least 10 times.
Speaking of medical costs, a group that advocates for affordable health care across the state says despite new laws requiring hospitals to tell you what they charge online, it might not be the best way to find that information. That federal rule went into effect at the start of the year. The Wisconsin Hospital Association says those lists include a lot of medical jargon, and the prices are explained kind of in bits and pieces rather than sharing what a patient might pay for an entire procedure. The group's vice president of finance, Brian Potter, says that information also doesn't necessarily reflect what someone will end up paying after insurance is involved. He suggests checking the website Price Point, a resource that's been around for years here in Wisconsin.
With our website, you can actually, a consumer can go in, compare multiple hospitals on an apples-to-apples comparison of a knee replacement or a colonoscopy or all of those things.
So we have links for both of these things, finding the area hospital service charges as well as the Wisconsin Hospital Association's price transparency website. Those links are over at channel3000.com.
If getting active is one of your New Year's resolutions, a new study says Madison is the place to be. According to that study from Wallet Hub, Madison is the 10th best city for living an active lifestyle. A fun fact about that, the city ranks #1 for basketball hoops per capita. Interesting. Some other Midwest cities also topped the list, including Chicago at #2 and Minneapolis at #6. The #1 city is Honolulu.
If you are traveling on two wheels today, closures are starting on the Cannonball bike path. So that's so crews can actually remove some vegetation underneath the power lines. There are 4 phases of work happening between McKee Road and the Beltline, so closures will likely last until mid-February. You can find a detour route and maps of those over on the city's website under the News and Updates tab. Speaking of riding bicycles, there are efforts to get more people riding their bikes through the winter here in Madison. The Department of Public Works is looking at making some improvements to snow removal processes for the bike paths. The recommendations include researching the most effective ways to clear snow on bike paths, be it brine, salt, or sand. The department also wants to increase their plowing frequency to include weekends and holidays, and to create an interactive web page where you can see if your route has been cleared before you head out the door.
I already told you earlier, I am not brave enough to go get on a bike in the winter.
Well, it's especially tough when we have these beautiful days like we had over the weekend, and then you just don't know where you're going to run into patches of ice.
You're enticed out there, you fall over. I am so uncoordinated, I seriously don't go out unless I got elbow pads, knee pads, bubble wrap.
Right, exactly. We have a situation like today where we have some schools on delay or even canceled. Adams Friendship canceled schools because of this tricky ice. So just be careful when you head out there, and know that even if you go a mile and hit some ice, it might be the same in the next mile and next mile and next mile.
And always wear a helmet.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, 6:18, just about your time this morning, and there's a new app being tested out right now that would track your kids' social media use to see if they might be dealing with depression. We'll tell you how that would work after the break.
And the message from the News 3 weather office, don't get used to this. Hattie has really, really mild temperatures today before we dive back into winter midweek. She'll update the forecast next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. If you're just waking up this morning, it is wet outside across all of southern Wisconsin. Mild temperatures overnight and rain showing up on the radar map this morning. Let's take a look at some of those temperatures. It is 37 in the Dells, 37 in Camp Douglas, and 35 in Wautoma. So areas north of the Dells may be seeing some slippery spots on the roads early today. Southward, though, temperatures are well above the freezing point, in fact, in the mid-40s. From Platteville over to Prairie du Chien, which is at 46 degrees this morning. Southeasterly winds have been blowing all night. They're fairly strong this morning, so it is going to be a breezy day today. Rain is expected through the lunch hour, then turns just cloudy for the afternoon. Staying mild one more day with highs right around 50 degrees. Have a wonderful day.
All right, Hattie, thanks so much. So 50 degrees and more rain is not what the Clean Lakes Alliance wants to hear. That group says that kind of weather could be problematic for the area lakes. Here's the issue. The ground is frozen, so when we get rain instead of snow, it can't soak into the soil. Instead, it just washes right into the waterways, carrying phosphorus that can cause algae blooms. Essentially, the rain could fertilize the lake before the spring thaw, which could lead to an even worse summer. When it comes to algae, we had a really bad season this past one. The Clean Lakes Alliance says efforts to redirect that water will be needed to increase, that is, to keep algae blooms down. Recent studies show smartphones and social media can certainly have negative effects on your mental health, particularly for your kids. But that technology could also help detect if your teen is going through something that requires more attention. Researchers are testing an experimental app that uses artificial intelligence to track how teens text and scroll through social media. Then it uses that information to predict if they are at risk for things like depression and self-harming behaviors. Researchers say we're still years away from these mood-detecting apps hitting the market due to privacy concerns, but the ultimate goal is to offer real-time help with things like automated texts with resources, as well as digital alerts for parents, doctors, and first responders.
If getting your child to eat their broccoli and Brussels sprouts seems to be a little easier, it might be thanks to a grant program helping more students get into new fruits and veggies. The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program provides schools with reimbursement for fresh produce offered in the classroom that students might not have access to at home. This school year, the grant program supports nearly 200 Wisconsin schools. To be eligible, half of the school's students need to be on the free or reduced lunch program. Most popular with the kids, according to the state so far, are pomegranates and persimmons.
There you have it. Families out on Madison's east side will have their library back starting today, but it will be in a new location for the next year or so. Penny Library is officially opening at its temporary location at the former Ace Hardware store on Cottage Grove Road, just about a block down from the old location. The new building where the library will be permanently is set to finish up in spring of 2020. The hours you're used to will be the same at the temporary location. It'll be open from 9 to 9 Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturdays, and 1 to 5 on Sundays.
All right, 6:24 your time now. Coming up in our next half hour, Josh Spreiter is live at the Capitol as a new governor takes over today. He'll talk about what we can expect from Tony Evers' first weeks in office.
And we are learning more about plans to improve transportation around the former Oscar Mayer plant on Madison's north side. We'll share how that could improve bus routes and bike paths around there when News 3 This Morning continues.
Legislators are taking action after tests found more than 100 contaminated wells in southwest Wisconsin.
It is Inauguration Day in Wisconsin as Democrat Tony Evers takes the governor's spot and Republicans in the new state legislature solidify their power. I'm Josh Butter live at the state capitol with what we can expect coming up.
This is News 3 This Morning.
And welcome to the final half hour of News 3 this morning. It's 6:28 now on this Monday, January 7th. We don't have to tell you, you can just look at Josh. You know it is raining out there. It's supposed to get a little bit warmer as the day goes on, but we are following some school closings. I know Adams Friendship is closed today, Nacita, Riverdale, Westfield, all on a 2-hour delay, so it can be a little slick out there.
Absolutely. It can get really tricky with the frozen ground and this rain, and no one knows that better than Hattie McLean. She is out on her patio this morning. Hads, any slippery spots out there?
No, not here on the patio. In fact, I'm standing in a puddle. Temperatures are quite mild here in Madison, but you're right. To the north, there may be some slippery spots where temperatures are just a couple of degrees colder. Here's a live look from the Edgewater Sky Cam. Definitely seeing the raindrops on the camera lens this morning. Our Doppler track showing you that the rain is pretty widespread across southern Wisconsin, and it is even increasing in intensity in a few spots up towards the Dells and Baraboo. Some heavier rain right now, as well as south and west of Madison, just west of Monroe. The rain will continue to track through the area today. It'll wind down for the afternoon, but expect a very wet commute to work and school. Temperatures, well, here are the numbers. 39 in Madison. As I mentioned, a little bit cooler, though, to the north and west, so keep that in mind. There are likely some slippery spots on the roads, but temperatures are already in the mid-40s in Platteville and Prairie du Chien, as well as Boscobel. And these numbers will go up through the day today. As you head out the door, remember the rain gear this morning. It is very wet this morning. Temperatures will climb through the 40s, back to highs right around 50 degrees, which will be close to records for this time of the year. But a very windy and wet start to the day. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. Again, wet roads all across the area this morning, but we're not seeing any major delays. No accidents to report either, so it looks like those travel times and speeds still normal for this time of the day as you head into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thank you so much, Hattie. A new era in Wisconsin politics begins today when Tony Evers will officially be sworn in as the next governor of the state.
Josh Spreiter is live outside the Capitol this morning with some of the goals Evers has as he takes over the governor's office. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. It is a big day here at the state capitol. Not only are Democrats Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes being sworn in as the next governor and lieutenant governor, but Republicans are also solidifying their power in the new state legislature. It's that political divide that will pose a few problems for Evers ahead as he has a tough road. He says he'll begin his first week on the job by touring the Lincoln Hills youth prisons, settling in his new cabinet secretaries, and starting work on a new state budget. That will include a $1.4 billion increase for public schools and possibly a policy item like criminalizing first offense drunken driving. Evers told our chief political reporter Jessica Arp last week that he's planning to sign some executive orders on day one, but didn't go into any specifics. While Evers says it's all about change, Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says he wants to avoid that political gridlock. In a statement, Vos says he wants Evers to succeed as governor and be responsive to the state of Wisconsin. Vos says he will be there to support and congratulate both Evers and Barnes today in the inaugural address, which begins at 11 o'clock this morning.
Big day for Democrats. First time taking the governor's office in 8 years. First time being sworn into every constitutional office in 35. Josh Spreiter reporting live for us. Thank you, Josh.
Meanwhile, Governor Walker is preparing to leave public office for the first time in 25 years. That said, the outgoing two-term governor says running for office in the future is not out of the question. That could mean a possible run for U.S. Senate or another run for governor. For now, though, Walker says he plans to travel the country advocating for conservative policies and stumping for President Trump in his next campaign. In looking back on his years as governor, both Republicans and Democrats recognize that Walker did have a significant impact, most notably with Act 10, which took away collective bargaining rights from public workers.
The state assembly is creating a water quality task force to address recent reports of water contamination in southwest Wisconsin wells. Two representatives from that area, Travis Tranel from Cuba City and Todd Novak from Dodgeville, had asked for the task force. That's after 42% of 300 randomly tested wells in that area exceeded federal health standards for bacteria. Speaker Robin Vos called those findings disturbing and said he'll announce members of that new committee in the coming weeks.
New this morning, there's a homicide investigation happening in Delavan after reports of a stabbing over the weekend. The Janesville Gazette reports police responded to a home in the 4000 block of South Channel Drive around 10:30 yesterday morning. That's where they reportedly found a suspect standing in a driveway and a 58-year-old woman dead inside that home. Now, if this is found to be a murder, it would be the first homicide in Delavan since 2004. We do expect to learn the suspect's name later today, and we'll update you on that over on channel3000.com. A neighbor told the Gazette they were in disbelief because the couple involved seemed to be nice and to get along with one another.
In northern Wisconsin, the search for a missing man is entering its second week today. 23-year-old Randy Driscoll of Mosinee was last seen Christmas Eve, just days before his daughter turned 4 months old. Dozens of volunteers searched along the Mosinee Dam for signs this weekend. Police say Randy's jacket was found along a trail there, and he left his ID and his cell phone at home on the kitchen table. His family says it's unusual for him to just take off. Organizers say that search will continue for weeks until he's found.
There are changes that could be coming to Janesville's airport as the new committee begins its work. The Janesville Gazette reports Southwest Regional Airport has space for about 20 large corporate-style aircraft right now. But at least one member of the new airport board wants to double that space over the next 5 years, which could bring in more revenue from fuel fees. Now, the committee is authorized to spend up to $25,000 without the county board's approval. As plans move forward to redevelop the former Oscar Mayer plant in Madison, there are also plans in the works to make sure people can get to and from that area. The city's transportation board is looking at improving public transit options to and from the north side at its meeting today. That area could eventually be part of the city's bus rapid transit system. New pedestrian and bike paths are also part of that plan. The city leaders working on this are prioritizing living wage jobs, youth programs, affordable housing, and space for locally owned businesses when it comes to the future of the Oscar Mayer plant site.
Later today, we're going to see where the Badgers stand in another AP Top 25 poll after a win last night at Penn State. The Nittany Lions had to play without their head coach, who was suspended for a game for shoving a player. Badgers senior Ethan Happ led the team with 22 points, and Brad Davison added 14 points along with 7 rebounds. The Badgers won 71-52 in their 11th consecutive win against the Nittany Lions. They're now 3-1 in the Big Ten. They will host Purdue on Friday.
All right, your time right now is 6:35. Airports across the country are preparing for issues as TSA employees continue to work without pay, and more are calling out sick in higher numbers. We'll have more on that in the morning sprint.
And the Better Business Bureau has a list of ways you can avoid scams in 2019. We'll share their advice. That's next on News 3 This Morning.
Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us, and with this morning being so gloomy, rainy, wet, whatever, Linda shared this. A little bit gloomy as well, but really beautiful, emerging from the fog, she says, in Endeavor.
You know what? Even when the weather is a little bit depressing, it makes for some great pictures.
You got to see the silver lining, right?
You do. Thanks so much for sharing, Linda. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I will share our favorites right here on the program. All right, here's a good New Year resolution to add to your list. Protecting yourself from scams. The Better Business Bureau is out with a call for action of sorts to help you from falling victim to fraud in the new year. Among their suggestions, only answer your phone if you know who's calling. Phone scams tend to hit grandparents the most. And always question why you'd need to provide any personal information. Always beware of sending money via wire transfer or prepaid gift cards. More often than not, that's definitely a scammer. And never click or download an email that comes from someone you don't know.
All good advice.
Yes,
for sure.
indeed.
All right, 6:40 right now. We are in for a wild ride weather-wise this week. Apparently, January showers bring frigid cold temperatures. That's how the saying goes, right?
Yes.
Hattie will tell us when our brief bout with spring drops straight back into winter. Up next.
But first, it's January 7th, believe it or not. We want to say happy birthday to Ezra and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thanks for watching and celebrating with us right here on News 3 This Morning. Welcome back. The Golden Globes is trending on Twitter this morning, not necessarily for the winners or the dresses, but for the opening monologue, calling out films where white actresses starred as Asian characters.
Sandra Oh praised Crazy Rich Asians, that movie, for its Asian American lead characters, but called out the film Aloha. Off camera, you could hear Emma Stone yell out, "I'm sorry," for playing the lead in that The lead role in that film, that is, depicting a Hawaiian Asian woman. Throughout the award show last night, the focus was on elevating women in the business and supporting actors and actresses working for change in the industry. Regina King won Best Supporting Actress for If Beale Street Could Talk. In her acceptance speech, she urged her colleagues to use their fame for good.
Anyone out there who is in a position of power, not just in our industry, in all industries, I challenge you to challenge yourselves and stand with us in solidarity and do the same.
Public relations.
Powerful message there. Also trending on Twitter this morning, Eagles fans are apparently sending money to the Bears kicker who missed yesterday's field goal. The Bears, this is a little painful to watch. The Bears had a chance to take back the Eagles' 1-point lead in the wildcard game. Kicker Cody Parkey made the first kick, but Philadelphia called a timeout. He tries again and hits the upright and the crossbar. Look at these people's faces. Ending the Bears' season on what announcers called a double doink. So then people start Venmoing Cody Parkey money saying, thanks for the win, man, and have a beer on me.
Yikes.
Oh, that is painful. People are questioning, though, if that is actually his account or if some random guy with the same name is receiving those payments. That would just be salt in the wound.
Right, exactly.
Oh
my
gosh.
goodness, though, if you were a Bears fan, donk.
Oh,
Donk.
oh.
Yeah, it was brutal yesterday. I mean, that's the last second. He's had trouble all season
Look
with
at
these.
those people's faces.
I know. In my opinion, I was like, if Cody Parkey is not fired by the end of this sentence, but I'm not a coach, so it's not my decision.
Not great.
It is pretty rough. Yeah, I know Hattie was talking about it too when we were getting ready this morning. Had's, my goodness gracious.
Oh. Yeah, I know. I gotta know how he feels, though. I've bound a few forecasts in my day as well, so it's not, and maybe not his best day today either, as he remembers that. Roller coaster temperatures, though. Let's take a look at these numbers. 50 was the high on Saturday. We fell short of setting a new record by 1 degree. Today we're back up to 50 again. That is the current record here in Madison, set in 2008, so we will tie it if we hit 50 degrees. The bottom falls out after that, though, so hang on. Temperatures by Wednesday, we're looking at highs only in the low 20s. With all these warm temperatures, keep in mind that the ice thickness is diminishing across the area. If there is less than 4 inches of ice, you cannot be on it for ice fishing activities, and you can see some of the other amounts of ice needed for cars on the ice and such. We have not had nearly cold enough temperatures, I don't think, to see ice thicknesses like that. We have rain in the forecast as well, so that is not good for winter activities. Rain pretty solid across southern Wisconsin. Changes to snow north of Green Bay this morning, but areas north of the Dells, even though there is some rain falling, there may be some slippery spots on the roads with temperatures just a few degrees above the freezing point. Let's take a look at some of the precipitation potential. We've already gotten about 1/3 to 1/2 inch of rain across southern Wisconsin. We will add another 1/2 to maybe 3/4 of an inch on top of that, making the total rain for this event over 1 inch in many spots. It's a lot of rain for this time in January. Now our temperatures, as I mentioned, just a few degrees above the freezing point to the north. So that's where we may see some areas with slippery roads. Here in Madison, we're at 39, and to the south and west, temperatures are already in the 40s. That's due to a southeasterly wind that we had overnight. Wind's still pretty strong this morning, so some of that rain coming down sideways across the area. Future track wind speeds and directions will show you that we have wind shifting to the southwest later on this afternoon, staying at about 10 to 20 miles an hour though, so still breezy through the day today. Our future track forecast model is doing a great job predicting the rain this morning. It is widespread across southern Wisconsin, so it'll be wet as you head to work and school this morning. Temperatures though will climb through the 40s as we head into the afternoon. By 12 o'clock, you see that rain starting to end for southwestern Wisconsin and ending from west to east for the rest of the area this afternoon. High temperatures though could approach 50 degrees in some spots. Staying pretty mild overnight tonight, but another front brings a chance for a little bit of a mix or light snow through the day on Tuesday. It's definitely going to turn colder though, especially starting Tuesday afternoon. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures that will top only in the mid-30s tomorrow. And then by the time we get to Wednesday, still pretty breezy. We'll have the sunshine, but it'll be blustery with a high of just 22 degrees. And looking a little bit more normal as we head through the upcoming weekend. Here's a look at our pet weather forecast. Bridget and Bo. definitely pondering something. I think probably a treat.
Yes, not resolutions.
No, it's going to be a muddy pause kind of day today.
Yeah, it is. Stay inside, fellas.
Oh, cuties, though.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
The Morning Sprint's coming up next here on News 3 This Morning. Almost 6:52, time now for the morning sprint. You will definitely want the umbrella today. Hattie expects rain, and we could hit record high temperatures today as well.
But we start with Josh Spreiter. He's live at the Capitol for Inauguration Day. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, ladies. Democrat Tony Evers will be sworn in as the next governor of Wisconsin today as Republicans solidify their power in the new state legislature. The Evers administration will have to deal with a divided government in Wisconsin for the first time in 10 years. We've already seen some butting of heads with the Republican reaction to many of Evers' cabinet picks, but Speaker Robin Vos did release a statement over the weekend saying, quote, "We shouldn't allow politics to get in the way of progress." Speaker Vos says he will be there to congratulate Evers and Mandela Barnes in the ceremony today. That inauguration officially starts at 11 a.m. and you can count on News 3 for team coverage throughout the day.
Thank you, Josh. Outgoing Governor Scott Walker says running for U.S. Senate or governor again in the future is not out of the question. The two-term governor is leaving public office, though, for the first time in 25 years. Walker plans to travel the country advocating for conservative policies and stumping for President Trump in his next campaign.
It's amazing that his life could be honored in this way. Not only, the sacrifice that brought us all here, but the fact that he was much more than just, a firefighter.
Captain Chris Truman's life was honored at a funeral service over the weekend where Lake Mills firefighters spoke about his passion for fire service and his willingness to help anyone in need. Captain Truman was off duty on New Year's Eve when he was hit by a car while helping a woman on the side of the Beltline.
The Lake Mills community is helping Captain Truman's family with funeral costs and other financial stresses. Grocery shoppers at the Lake Mills market have already donated thousands of dollars to Truman's fiancée and loved ones. Employees there plan to keep a fundraiser going for at least a couple more weeks.
We will find out later today if any police officers will be charged for shooting and killing the gunman who opened fire at his Middleton office back in September. 2 Dane County deputies and 2 Middleton police officers were involved in taking down the gunman at WTS Paradigm last fall. Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan will release the findings of his investigation later today.
And our forecast starts with rain across southern Wisconsin this morning. Expect the rain to end from west to east heading into the afternoon. Temperatures over the next 12 hours are going to be very mild. Our high is 50 degrees later on this afternoon here in Madison.
Thank you, Hattie. A man is in custody this morning accused of killing a 7-year-old girl in Houston. 20-year-old Eric Black Jr. is facing a capital murder charge after Jasmine Barnes was shot dead riding in her family's car last week. Investigators say they found the murder weapon in Black's home. Police say he did admit to driving in the vehicle involved in the shooting, but did not admit to firing the fatal gunshots.
I may declare a national emergency dependent on what's going to happen over the next few days.
Now on day 17 of the partial government shutdown, President Trump says he might bypass Congress and use Pentagon funds for his border wall. Newly sworn-in House Democrats are expected to pass individual bills this week to reopen different agencies, and they do have support of some Senate Republicans. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said he will not bring any bill to a vote without the president's support.
There are no issues with security lines at Dane County Regional Airport as TSA workers across the country head into week 3 of working without pay. Those employees are among the 800,000 or so people who have been on furlough or working without a paycheck since the government shutdown started on December 22nd.
Researchers are testing an experimental app that uses artificial intelligence to track how teens text and scroll through social media. It uses that information to predict if they're at risk for depression or any self-harming behaviors. Researchers say we are still years away from using these mood-detecting apps hitting the market due to privacy concerns, but the ultimate goal is to offer real-time help.
A group of advocates for affordable health care here in the state say that despite new laws requiring hospitals to post what they charge online, it might not be the best way to find that information. The vice president of finance for the Wisconsin Hospital Association says those lists include a lot of medical jargon and don't necessarily reflect what someone will end up paying after insurance is involved. We have links to find out those prices at channel3000.com.
The state assembly is creating a water quality task force to address recent reports of water contamination in southwest Wisconsin wells. That's after 42% of 300 randomly tested wells in that area exceeded federal health standards for bacteria. Speaker Robin Voss called those findings disturbing and said he'll announce members of that new committee in the coming weeks.
Penny Library on the city's east side, that is, will officially open its temporary location today. It will run out of the former Ace Hardware store on Cottage Grove Road until its permanent location is finished in the spring of 2020. The library is open from 9 to 9 Monday through Friday.
6:57 your time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, the wet road slowing everything down this morning. Brake lights already showing up westbound on the Beltline between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. Inbound John Olin, you're tapping the brakes at Rimrock and Olin Avenue, moving into the downtown area. That's going to add a minute or two. And other routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds right now with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And it is a very dreary start to this Monday morning here across southern Wisconsin. The view from the edge of our sky cam definitely has some raindrops on the camera lens this morning. Here's a look at the radar map once again. Light to moderate rain continues for all of southern Wisconsin early today. It will come to an end this afternoon with highs near 50 degrees.
Yeah, because of that rain, we're keeping track of some school closings and delays. You can find those over on channel3000.com. That's where you can also find the latest on Inauguration Day. Have a great Monday.
Shop